It's 1 for the money, 2 for the show. Episode 3, we're getting ready. And if we get past this one to 4, I think we'll be good to go. Because this one's going to get a little hot around the collar as we make the road dog holler. But what's up to all the pound puppies and kennel kittens? Welcome to the dog house. I'm Ryan Katz, and he's Dog the Road Dog, and this is episode number 3 of Oh, You Didn't Know.
Oh, you didn't know is right. You sound like stinking Carol Baskins. You sound like kitties and did you say something about pounding puppy? Like, you know what? We'll just skip past that. You know what I mean?
Man, how you feeling today?
I'm good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling frisky. I got to be honest. I've been weirdly looking forward to this specific episode. It was we'll talk about it as we get closer, but it's very therapeutic for me to go back and look at some periods of time that weren't so crystal clear to me. But yeah, it's therapeutic. I'm excited about today's show anyway.
Dr. Katz is in session, and hopefully I don't start squiggling all over the place with some line work and stuff. Man, dog, we've got 2 episodes behind us, and we seem to be doing okay, getting our reps and finding our groove. And it takes practice and training. But let me just start with this. You know what else takes practice and training? My dog, man. And I don't mean like you, my dog, man, but my dog, man. We go to these agility classes. We've seen it. I've showed you some clips, but
yes,
yesterday's class was amazing, and it got me amped up. I got to show you a clip.
So tell everybody your dog's name.
My dog's name is Tallulah, and she is a schnoodle, and she is actually, she was birthed by WWE superstar Xia Li, who like actually did the delivering of the puppies.
Wow.
And I have one of the puppies, and Reina, her new name, Reina Rodriguez, Raquel Rodriguez, has one of the other of the siblings from the litter. But let's go to clip.
Let's go to the videotape right now. Oh, girl or boy?
Look at this. Look at
I guess Tallulah. I should have. Man, best in show. I mean, Ryan Katz and his dog.
I can't wait to try to compete her this year and get like some custom track suits, and then maybe get like some other big dudes, some wrestlers in to go in and just
I would love to do that.
The whole field, man.
Just march in. We'll march in like Ben Stiller in that movie, like the Cobra movie or whatever. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Well, that's not the old.
She's doing great.
Yeah, I mean,
she's great.
Yeah, she's a little over a year old, and she's just killing it. She's not allowed to technically compete until like 18 months, so we're getting close to that.
Yeah. And are you using a lot of performance enhancing drugs?
They're like bacon treats and lamb treats, and they seem to work.
Same.
The doggy PED. I mean, yeah, we're gonna see what the wellness pilot
is. She gets kicked out for being on the gas. That's great.
But I'm also excited because, man, we got breaking news today, man. We have huge breaking
news. Things are going fast, Gatsy. Buckle up and hang on. Go ahead.
Announcing the Ain't We Great Tour 2022 with you, the road dog, me, and Double J Jeff Jarrett. This is going to be great. It's the first show kicking off on Sunday, May 29th at the Nerd in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah, it's the same day as the big AEW pay-per-view. And it's a matinee show. It's earlier in the day, so you got plenty of time to party with us, plenty of time to make it to the show. We're going to have a good time. Myself, Ryan Katz, and Double J Jeff Jarrett, just a couple of Hall of Famers hanging out and talking to you. And how apropos was that name? The venue is called The Nerd. Like if it didn't fit us three, I don't know what does. But if it fits you, man, we're gonna have a great time from 12 to 3. We got some earlier times for that for the VIP. VIPs, and then we got general admission, and so we're gonna have a great time. It'll be a live show on the air that night. A lot of stories that we can't tell on the podcast because we have sponsors, and so come out and hear some of the good stuff, and just we look forward to seeing you guys out there in Vegas with us.
Absolutely. Head to doublejlive.com or roaddoglive.com for more information and tickets. That's roaddog.com with two G's. It's spelled out ROA double DO double G.com for your tickets. All right, enough about the plugs and the
So
dog.
gratuitous plugs. I love it.
I mean, we got to do some business now in the mix. All right, let's go into the deep end, see how you tread water as we get into some controversy, some heat-seeking, target-making moments in your career. This episode is about TNA and VKM, the Voodoo Kin Mafia. All right, up until this point on the show, we've heard from a pretty humble BG James, one who's, sought out growth, evolution, and redemption. And as we get back into these stories, and it seems like all of that may be out the door because the gloves were off at this time, and it was very bold to say the least. So before we get into the deep dive, anything you want to say? You mentioned it was going to be therapeutic to talk about these stories. Anything else you want to get into before we go into detail?
Yeah, I just want to say, you have different segments in your life, and I feel like I've lived several lives. I was the Marine, and then combat Marine, and you come back and you're a WWE superstar, and then you post that. What do you do? And that's what we're going to get into a little bit. But it's just one of those times in my life. It's not that I don't like to go back there and take this walk down memory lane. It's just that this walk down memory lane is either in hell or New York City. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not a fun jaunt for me down there, because this was just a bad time in my life. And more so than anything, like, it's going to be therapeutic to get to talk about it, talk to it and through it. But I also, talking about stuff helps. And that's what I've learned a lot about in the past decade through my sobriety, is talking about things helps. So, in society, we're pushed, especially the guys are pushed, oh, be tough, suck it up. You don't have to ask for help. Well, that's a load of horse crap. And to be quite honest, quite the contrary, asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. So anyway, it's a bad part of my life. I want to talk about it. I want to talk through it. And I'm ready. So I hope you guys are.
Let's begin the venting. And as the kids say, LFG, baby, it's on.
I don't know what that means.
All right. The story begins really at the end of 3 Live Crew. Your stable with Ron Killings and Konnan splits apart at Turning Point 2005. And as everyone goes their own ways, we see that Billy comes into TNA. It was inevitable that you two were going to be back together, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, as soon as he came, we had been 3 Live Crew for a bit then. And so, look, we had a great time with that. I just got to see Konnan a couple weeks back at WrestleCon, and haven't seen him in a while. It was great to spend some time with him. Me and him in Truth had a great time. Creatively, we had some good stuff, produced some good songs. If you haven't heard all of the 3 Live Crew's songs and entrance music, you should search them, and maybe we could put a link to some of them up here or something. Yeah. But it's literally good music, and we did that, us 3 guys, and so I had a great time. But Billy coming in, there was no doubt we were going to go against, we were going to team up. And then, of course, when that goes, we're going to break up and go against each other. And that just seems to be how it works. But yeah, Billy was coming in. He had just got released. And we were looking forward to getting back together, to be quite honest with you.
You're the one who originally came up with the name of the New Age Outlaw. You talked about it earlier in your career. You used it for yourself. Was there any talk of I like that. Was there ever any talk of trying to get that trademark back from WWE, or was that just something that you didn't even think about trying? It was onto something new at that point.
I dated a girl named Annie, and I'm glad you brought her up. No, so I never thought about the New Age Outlaws. Like, I just figured Vince owned it. We couldn't have it. Like, I didn't know how the inner workings, even after being there, for a while and making money and doing all my thing. This is post $1 million, spend $1 million, now trying to pay bills that you acquired during the $1 million run. Wow. And so this was a part of my life, both personally and professionally, that was it's dark, and that's why I prefaced it with that little statement, you know what I mean? About it's just, it was a negative time. Um, Billy's there. This is where we need the sound effects where when I get off track, it just goes, oh, chair shot, bong dressing. You know what I mean? Like something like that, like a video game. Yeah. Love it. So the last thing you said was Billy's coming in. You guys are going to team up for sure, right? We're going to team up for sure.
You two are eventually called the James Game, and you have some feuds with various teams. And it begins with the newly formed LAX, who's led by your former partner, Konnan.
Yep.
It'll also involve your father, Bullet Bob.
Yeah.
How did that all come together?
Well, I looked, Dutch and Jeff, and there was a lot of guys, a lot of people on the creative team, but great people on the team. They came to me with the idea. I said, look, let me talk to my dad. My dad was 66 years old at the time. And they said that a bunch of times during the television show. But for me, that was literally one of the proudest times of my career. Look, and I'll talk about a pay-per-view where me and him worked with AJ Styles and Tomko, blast from the past, but we got to work with them on a TNA pay-per-view. I think it was in South Carolina somewhere, but man, we had a color guard from the Marine Corps came. My voice cracked. I'm going through puberty. But they came and marched me and my father down to the ring. You know, me and my father were both Marines, and he literally, I marched across the parade deck like 30 years to the month when he did. And so me and him got had and still have a special connection. But this thing for me was the biggest thing in my career. And then also being able to induct him into the Hall of Fame. Like my dad was larger than life for me. And so this was a very cool moment for me personally and professionally, to be quite honest with you. And watching the clips and stuff, man, it took me back into a good area. You know what I mean? It's some good memories. Like, man, I got to work with my dad and stuff like that. So this has been a good, like I said, a therapeutic walk, down memory lane.
I know as we were prepping this episode, we're talking about this, that it's hard time in your life. And when watching the clips that we're going to see throughout this, there's some really good content. So as we keep prefacing everything with this negativity, like it's not all doom and gloom. There's entertainment.
Amen. Amen. And I'm glad. Look, and thank you for saying that, Ryan, because I believe there is too. And I was going to make the comment like, you know, people always talk about, oh, you're good on the mic. You're good on the mic. Well, really, you don't know if you're good on the mic until you get a lot of time on the mic. And I had time on the mic, but usually I was just saying the same old thing, with a different city inserted, you know? Right. And so this gave me an opportunity where I think when Russo and I'm getting ahead of myself, but when Russo got there and utilized us as the James Gang, it was all about promos and entertainment and stuff. Like it wasn't like we were going to have the matches that, you know, the Chris Sabins and all the X Division, all those guys, Alex Shelley and all those guys were there then. We weren't going to have the matches like they're going to have, you know what I mean? So we played to our strengths. And I actually did have a lot of really good promo, really good mic work down there. And watching this reminded me of that. So.
Absolutely. So Billy's only been in the company for a short time, and we're going to cover his actual entrance to the company in a later episode. But at this point in time, you'd been with the company for close to 4 years. Did putting you two together give you the new coat of paint that you needed, or was it just something that had to happen creatively because it just fit?
Yeah, look, that's exactly what it was. Was it a new coat of paint for me personally? Yeah, because I'd been with 3 Live Crew and now I'm going to go back to Billy and look, I had major concerns about us getting back together, because it had been done. And while it had been done and been done really well, if I can sound braggadocious, like it had been done well, but it had been done. And so we can't be the new Age Outlaws. We can't be what we once were. So it's hard to be what you once were. You know what I mean? Like that. It was very difficult. So I had a lot of concerns, but I also, I was getting paid. You know what I mean? I was getting a weekly paycheck and doing all right and paying my bills. And that's all I was trying to do at this point. Keep enough for the, keep up enough wrestling for my drug habit, you know, and pay the house notes.
I hate to laugh because I know you don't say that in jest.
Yeah.
You say that serious in this
That's
sense.
serious. And that's why, look, that's why I want to normalize talk like that. Normalize talk about men having anxiety, men having fears. And you know what I mean? That should be normalized. That's what we should be talking about. There's a lot of mental health stuff going on that we're finding out later in life. And even for an old dog like me, you can teach me new tricks and I can learn if I can learn about this stuff, I can be conscious of it and make moves to try to better myself, and that's I know you say you don't like to laugh, but it's with me, it's the truth. It's what I did, man. It's what I did. And while I did all this and I was high all the time, it's not that I'm trying to negate responsibility for any of this, whether creative or professionally or personally. I'm not trying to negate my responsibility for any of this. Everything I did is mine, and I will own that. And I will make the rest of my days trying to make up for that. But thank you for bringing up. It's not all bad. I cut some good promos down there.
All right, your dad's a major part of this story, as we said, and it gets to an arm wrestling match against Konnan, and it leads to your dad getting whipped. You talked about it being cool to be in the moment with your dad.
Yeah.
But then what's it like when your dad's in the storyline on the downside of a leather strap?
Yeah. So actually what that was like 3 tennis balls in a black sock, and it was what Konnan used to like waffle people with. But it goes back to the old putting the locks or a Coke can in a sock or whatever, that kind of thing. But so I knew he would be safe. But man, it is my 66-year-old father who is.
Let's run a clip of him while we're talking.
Yeah, please do. And if you're
we could probably bring the volume down a little bit on that.
Yeah. And Tanay does a great job of putting him over. Says that's the 66-year-old father of BG James, and so Dad was still at 66. He's still jacked. You know what I mean? And here I am, 52, fat as. I look like a can of tuna in a tube sock, but he's in great shape. And if you're not on YouTube, go seek this, because this is old school wrestling at its best, the old arm wrestling match, and they work it great. At one point, you'll see that Konnan, and look, they milk it too. Like, you guys get out of the ring. Now you guys get out of the ring. Now who's going to, and then Konnan milks it forever. It's just good Shakespeare.
Yeah, I was watching this with the smile on my face, anticipating how it was going. Your dad looks tremendous. I mean, he looks like Popeye getting ready to put a hurt on Bluto after eating some spinach right there too.
And the truth of it is, I told him, I said, Dad, man, if you don't want to do this, we don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. I'll tell him this. I'll tell him that. I'm trying to stand up for him. And he says, Brian, I've been doing this for 40 years. And I said, I know, but you're older now. And he said, I know my limitations, son. I'll be fine. And I was like, okay, I need to shut up. But you know what? My dad was always good at looking you right in the eye and telling you exactly what you needed to hear, but what he meant too. You know what I mean? He told you what you needed to hear, but in a way that wasn't cross. It was like I'd be doing push-ups before the match, and he'd be smoking a cigarette. Say, don't leave it all back here. You know what I mean? It's just simple little things that. Look, I guess every dad has their little things.
Always teaching lessons.
Yeah. He was always teaching lessons. And yeah, this is great. See, Konnan jerks back like, oh, he's getting and Dad's facials are good. Like, this is all, it was really good. Now, whether it was, really the bad stuff didn't start till later. Creatively, you know what I mean? I was still in a mess personally during all this time.
Looking at your dad in this role, I can't just think of your brother Scott.
Oh yeah, he looks just like him, doesn't he?
I mean, oh my gosh.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot.
And you talk about their physiques, your physiques, and the different genes in the family.
Which one of us is not like the other? But yeah, if you're watching this, Konnan, man, he tries to jerk away, and Dad pulls him back. Oh, that's
what about that? Absolutely.
It's great stuff. Now watch the face. Watch the face.
Conan's talking smack, getting in his face a little bit, and shakes it up. Oh! And that's it. The neck strain, the veins popping.
Oh my God, I love it.
And then here comes Hernandez.
Yeah, here comes Hernandez.
Gotcha. There's the loaded sock, right?
Yep. The loaded sock, Konnan, you son of a beast.
And then that second shot from Konnan was just
Yeah.
a little bit rough right
Yeah,
there.
and Dad took a bump. 66 years old. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Talking about LAX and Hernandez,
Yeah.
LAX had a lot of people that would team with Homicide during this time. There was Apollo, Machete, and eventually Hernandez was the guy we just saw whipping your
Yeah.
dad in that angle. There was rumor and innuendo that Apollo quit because he didn't like the creative treatment that was going on, and then Machete just wasn't cutting it with management. Any truth to any of that, or do you know why it was so hard to fill the role in LAX?
So I don't think they were trying to fill a role, to tell you the truth. I think that what they were okay with, like a couple of steadfast members and like some people coming in, but I don't really remember Machete. But Apollo was, I don't know, if he was coming over here all the time anyway. Like he was a big, good looking dude
Yeah.
who kind of ruled the scene in Latin America. And so maybe he thought there were bigger fish to fry somewhere else. You know what I mean? I don't really know what that happened, but I don't think it was such a bad thing. I think there were some stalwarts and then there was some guys coming in every now and then. And I tell you what, Hernandez couldn't have been a better fit. He's a big, huge baby face that could do some incredible
Oh yeah, he could move.
wrestling and feats of strength. And yeah, he could leapfrog and he was a great fit. He's a good dude. So yeah, I don't think it was so much they had trouble filling a spot. I think they were just filling spots when they needed to, you know what I mean?
What did you think of the creative process at that time in TNA? I got to imagine coming from your run in WWE, your ego has got to be, at least I know mine would be a little bit larger at that point. And would I be wrong to guess that you probably pushed for a little bit more creative influence to get what you want? Or did you still have a, I'm getting paid, I'm going to do what they want mentality?
Yeah. So look, this now more than ever, I'm going to try to do what they want mentality, because I felt like I had burnt a bridge. I was, keeping my head above water financially and trying to maintain gainful employment. And so I was trying to do what they said. I also knew all the people on the creative team, and they all were really good where they wouldn't do anything to just flat out bury you. You know what I mean? And that's what, let's stop right there for a second. That's what a lot of people go like, oh my God, they're burying so and so. I can assure you, and I've sat in on many a creative meeting with DNA, with WWE, even in WCW. So nobody has ever in the history of this business said, you know what we should do? Take one of our products and just bury it and make it look like crap. I promise you, nobody has ever said that. And that's what some people, go, oh, they're just burying him. No, they got a plan. And maybe the plan includes the other guy tonight, or maybe the plan includes a different woman, on the show tomorrow. So we're not trying to bury nobody. And so they weren't trying to bury me. Back to the story at hand. They weren't trying to bury me. So I trusted them. And then we're going to get into here in a minute, Russo coming into town. And I kind of trusted him too, because I saw a lot of success under his tutelage and under his pencil. So why not look forward to that?
All right, a few weeks later, after that arm wrestling match at the Lockdown pay-per-view, there's a rematch between Konnan and your dad. And I love you got to love just hearing this, the rematch and the return program. All right, well, the loser is going to have to be whipped. I think it's 10 whippings at that point, 10 lashes.
So there's an arm wrestling challenge, a rematch, and the loser gets 10 lashes with a belt. This is actually, these are times that I forgot, because I think it's by design. But there's some good, this is a very good segment of professional wrestling. The promo, the mic work, the physicality, the everything.
Absolutely. The acting, Konnan, when he's coming in, his aggression towards the crowd, there's a riling of real emotion from everyone involved.
Konnan was so cool. I mean, he still is. He's so cool. Like, he's the Don, man. He just sits over there in the dressing room and they serve him. You know what I mean? Because he's the dude.
Back in 2001, he gave me my first "What's Up" at XPW because I was wearing my Kango gear back then. He was like, all right.
Yeah. That's what we need to figure out, how to get some Kangos with holes cut out where
For the head.
Yeah, because I love the Kango.
We're going to get to this. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wish everybody go to YouTube and watch this stuff, because I think this is, look, while it wasn't the most positive time in my life or career, professionally, we did really well with it. Like we did really well. And I would, I don't know if I'd still be there if I hadn't got high in a production meeting. Yeah, don't do drugs, people. Let's go ahead and make that clear now. If you don't do them, don't start. And if you do, stop.
So
Arm wrestling, and Konnan's trying to, enough of my PSA, Konnan's trying to break the arm of the old man.
how much of a fan of Over the Top are you?
Oh, yeah. I love it. If Dad had a hat on, he would have turned it around backwards.
Little Bull Hurley action.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. Your dad starts getting a little bit of control. He's putting the stretch on right now.
Yeah.
And there's the final push.
There's the one.
And your dad gets the win. Celebrates with stoic sternness. Arm goes up, and then he gets the groove on. He's bouncing.
Hey, you notice that Kegel's gym shirt is from a gym in Marietta. Dad, I don't think my dad ever went to a bar.
And then here's Karate Kid style.
Oh, yeah. Well, and here I am asking for a live mic because now it's on. You just gave me a live mic. Oh, Ryan.
Strap 'em, boys. Strap 'em.
My leather friend.
Yeah.
Assume the position when you know it. It's like this. Assume the position and take your whipping like the three.
For those that don't know, Medusa was famous for launching the career of Ricky Martin.
Yeah.
Look at this. I don't see LAX offering themselves up.
And then everyone's like, who's Ricky Martin? That's the only reference.
You just keep on walking because you will be suspended indefinitely. Now assume the position.
I love that Konnan takes the threat of suspension seriously.
Yes, he does. He tells him, he's like, hey, bro, you got to do it or they're going to suspend us. This is wrestling, man. To me, this is wrestling. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again and get heat for saying it. They're in a diamond wrestling. Everybody can do a hip toss and drop kick. What do you do in between? What do you do to entertain the people? What do you do to have them emotionally invested in? And we got them doing that in this storyline. We got them interested in my dad. You know what I mean? Like it's just really cool to watch.
Absolutely. The crowd's fired up and into this. If you go watch, you'll see.
Yeah.
And here comes the first strike. All three.
We whipped them all.
Hernandez sells tough, but Homicide's great. Goes to take his own belt off.
Yeah.
I got good news. Just 9 more left.
And this leads to a comedic moment right here coming up. Getting ready to count.
Yeah.
Bilingual BG James gonna lay in a number 2.
What did he say? I was by what?
Bilingual. Well,
He's
Uno
right.
Dos Tres.
He slipped that out of his shirt. Here we go, gentlemen. Uno, dos. This will be
He
Tres.
slipped out.
We'll do it on 3.
Homicide selling this great.
Yeah.
Turn your ass around. 1, 2.
Homicide's great. And I just saw him this past week.
Here you go. You call Kip James Billy.
Yeah.
Billy.
Well, he's always been Billy Nilly to me. I don't know if you ever watched Tombstone, but Billy Nilly was, oh man, he was in, dang, I can't think of the dude's name, but he was in that movie and it was Billy Nilly. And I always say, Billy Nilly, you're the prettiest man I ever saw.
Having so much history, so much time together, is it hard to get used to calling him by a different name on the shows?
100%. Yeah. It was just, look, I just call him Billy. That ain't his name. You know what I mean? That ain't. I just call him Billy, and I always have, and I always will. But for legal reasons, of course, on here we couldn't. So yeah, we whipped them all, and they powdered out of the ring. But yeah, that was cool. It was so it was really cool and really scary for me to have my dad out there with me. You know.
We're talking about Homicide selling in that angle. Homicide's always had the reputation of being a little bit hot-headed with some things. Did you guys ever have any run-ins or disagreements, or he was always cool with what was going on and you guys were doing?
Homicide was looking. I don't know if he respected me because I was been somewhere before or whatever, or if he just is a respectful dude. You know what I mean? But he's always been very respectful to me. So I don't know. I saw that in the notes and I thought, that's not the Homicide I know. You know what I mean? He's always been super cool.
Total professional.
And totally professional. Always giving, and not scared to try to get his too. So yeah, it's all, he's always been super, super groovy, bro.
But that's a testament to a lot of fan perception versus how things really are in the world. And what fans sometimes think they have the inside track, and sometimes
his
not.
name is Homicide. So you think this guy's bad news. But yeah, and then look, maybe he is to people who cross him. You know what I mean?
Moving on from that story, you and Billy strike up a feud with Team 3D, also known as the Dudley Boys, regarding who's the greatest tag team of all time. How excited are you to work with Devon and Bubba?
Well, you're half right. I'm excited to work with one of them anyway. I'm just kidding. Look, I'm just kidding. No, it's, look, it was natural, just like putting me and Billy back together. Now here's Devon and Bubba. It's natural to go back to that. Some very good promos in this one too. Kudos to Bubba because he can go in there as well, verbally and physically for that matter. But I always enjoyed working with Devon more just because he's lazy like me. And so we would just do the same exact spot every single time. And the other two would just bitch at us because we were lazy. But it was, you're in a different town where you can still do the drop down, turn around, back elbow. You know what I mean? You still do the same old thing that worked yesterday. But yeah, no, it was a natural transgression to get, or transition, I think. Oh, chair shot, bone risen. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. We got to get that sound effect down.
We definitely will.
But yeah, it was a natural transition to go to. I have a lot of transitions to go to the Dudleys.
We're going to have a future episode of Oh You Didn't Know where we talk the Mount Rushmore of tag team wrestling. And I know for me, there's going to be some arguments of the Dudleys being in that mix. Amazing team. Always has
100%. And one they're in the Hall of Fame for a reason and rightfully so. They recreated tag team wrestling with the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian. I mean, there's no two ways about that. They upped the ante in the game. You know what I mean? And so I always give them props. Look, people always talk about, oh, Devon's so nice and Bubba's a businessman. He wants to talk business. He wants to tell you how he feels. And I get that. I want to tell you how I feel too. I realized my feelings don't, the facts don't give a F about your feelings. So I'm wrong a lot. But like he's a little more difficult to deal with than Devon. And I don't think he would have a problem with me saying that, to be quite honest. He's just a pro and he wants to get down to business, and that's the way he works. And so you got to respect that.
Well, let's get down to the business there in TNA and take a listen to one of the great promo battles that took place between you two and Team 3D.
Let's go to the footage. Full Metal Mayhem. Man, you should see Bubba. I saw Bubba last week. He's an incredible show.
I want to talk about something real quick. You guys know damn well that since the day we got here in TNA, we have been fighting warriors in the middle of this ring. It didn't matter who.
I would bury him for having his back to the hard camera, but I come in and do the exact same thing. If some of y'all listening or watching don't know what that means, the hard camera is like the camera that's set in the arena that most of the time when you're in the ring cutting a promo you look at. Bubba's got his back to it right now, as you can see, so that's no good. But I think I do the same. So it's too late. I already buried his stuff.
All right, let's skip Bubba a little bit.
Yeah. He's getting there.
Here we go.
Hosting your interview is both unprofessional and disrespectful. a couple of things I heard you saying, quite frankly, troubled me, gentlemen. You see,
Cool. I'm speaking firmly.
I heard you say that you were the most distinguished tag team in professional wrestling history.
You hear that? You hear that history? Question mark. I look like the guy on Counting Cars, like that old guy who makes motorcycles.
Oh yeah, the Count.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got your do-rag tied up.
Yeah. Over the years too.
Maybe in Vegas we can go visit the bar.
Yeah, I'd love that actually.
Except for that one time when we beat you for our first WWE World Tag Team title.
Oh, he got you there, dog.
See?
Got me.
You hit you with blast from the past. We
Got
take
me.
you down memory lane. A little bit. A certain tag team that sold out Madison Square 46. While another tag team
That's you guys, the New Age
That
Outlaws.
was the New Age Outlaws.
scratching and clawing to bring 350 people into a hall.
Maybe you guys are jealous that you could never get over in that bingo hall.
This is good TV, man.
You know what? I don't even play bingo.
Me too.
You're so battleship. This ain't no bingo.
That's just a little riff and a high five and get back to business.
Yep, for those that didn't see, they had a little sign of respect between each other for those jokes. And we're into business here.
We'll do this. This bickering back and forth is getting us absolutely nowhere. But I think I got a solution to our little dilemma. At Sacrifice, gentlemen, our dance card is wide open. So if you got what you think it takes, then you scribble us in and let's do the damn thing.
The best thing about this whole thing is at the end, watch me kiss Devon. Watch Devon. I kiss him right on the lips. I did that to Rock one time too in a promo. When you hit my face, it's weird. And so I'm just going to kiss you to make it weirder.
At Sacrifice.
You got a deal.
All right. Two of the most
Here we go.
You got a deal.
wrestling history are going to get it on a Sacrifice. Oh, BG James just kissed Brother Davon. Obviously, he's
We got
sending
a
him a message.
Oh, Devon did it.
Yeah.
Devon didn't know whether to like.
Look at
whether to
this
get
is our.
Oh,
There's a true story about Devon when they first started working there. We worked with them in Madison Square Garden, and like the place was packed, and I in the middle of the match, I just stuck my thumb up his butt, like all as far as I could get it up his butt. You know, it was like just messing around, and he jumped so high and jumped out of the ring, and he never let. Oh, that was great. That's exactly what it sounded like when it came out. But then, like, he's never forgot that, and he'll tell me that to this day. But yeah, so look, back to the topic at hand. It was a good promo back and forth. You know what I mean? I think we had some good times, and I knew we were going to have good matches because we were just going to kind of fight. You know what I mean? We didn't have to do no tricky spots. We were just going to beat the crap out of each other with weapons, and so.
talking about that, yeah, it led to that match at Sacrifice. You guys get a win over them, hitting them with the lead pipe. But it's Slammiversary the next month in the Bingo Hall Brawl that Dudleys get their win back. Was anything different about working with them in TNA compared to the WWF years?
BHB, we call it the BHB, the Ball House Brawl. What was it called? The
Bingo Hall.
Bingo Hall Brawl. Yeah, no. It was the same. I knew what they could do. They knew what I could do. I couldn't do any more. That's for dang sure. I could probably do a little less. But that's what and this is going to, again, sound like I'm patting myself on the back. But apparently Bret Hart thinks Barry Horowitz should be in the Hall of Fame anyway. So but we worked before. We knew what to do we maximize our strengths and minimize our weaknesses. And we go out there and we have a good little match and we know what'll pop them. We know what won't, and we figure it out. You know what I mean? So I knew they could both work. I trust them with my body. And I trust, Bubba was going to, Billy and Devon weren't going to get too much mic time in. I can tell you that much.
Right. All right, as we're going to transition over to the next phase, creative's about to change at TNA as Vince Russo comes in. But before we go hard into that, let's talk about BLUECHEW, our sponsor for the show.
You said go hard into that.
Dog,
that was the segue.
Yeah, Dog. Yeah. You know better than anyone else. Confidence can take you far in life.
Yes, it can. Preach.
Yeah, it's allowed you to live a life that many people dream about. And there's nothing wrong with getting a little boost to keep that confidence high, right?
Hell no.
Well, I'm not just talking about life confidence. I'm talking about what you think I'm talking about. Oh yeah, I'm talking about where BLUECHEW comes in, and that's the bedroom.
You got to be confident when you step up to the plate.
BLUECHEW is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost.
A fraction. You hear him? He said a fraction.
You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises.
It's funny because it's BLUECHEW and you said arises, and that's what makes it funny.
The process is simple. You sign up at BLUECHEW.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. And
no awkward doctor visits, no awkward conversations. It's all discreet for you between the sheets.
BLUECHEW tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in, like you said, that discreet package. So fellas, they say a first impression is important, but with BLUECHEW, you can make a lasting impression. And if you're not down with BLUECHEW, I think the Road Dogg's got 2 words for you. But no, we'll get to that another time. If you could benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, BLUECHEW can help. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try BLUECHEW free when you use our promo code DOGG at checkout and just pay $5 shipping.
DOGG.
That's BLUECHEW.com, promo code DOGG to receive your first month free. Visit BLUECHEW.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank BLUECHEW for sponsoring this podcast.
Promo code DOGG. And ads free is the label that pays, man.
That was wonderful. That was wonderful.
That was awesome. That felt good. I'm in the mood.
I'm feeling stimulated.
I just meant for like a double cheeseburger. I'm not actually in the mood to do anything else. I'd probably have a friggin' heart attack. Where were we?
We're talking about Vince Russo returning or coming to TNA in late September. Was that something you were excited for in regards to the creative process?
Yeah, for sure. Look, Russo and I stated this before, we always got along really well. I mean, and then even then we hadn't hung around so much so since he became a Christian and I became sober and we kind of became men trying to better themselves. I haven't seen him a whole lot since that time. But yeah, when he was coming in, I had nothing but good vibes about his entry because he's the one that kind of was with us during DX. And so I thought like, well, he knows more than I do about it. So we'll let him figure it out. And so when he got there, like, look, he took an interest in us and he liked me and Billy. And so we did what we could do. We'll get into all that here shortly. But yes, I was very much looking forward to Vince Russo coming to work at TNA.
You mentioned earlier that you already had a friendship with Jeff in creative and Dirty Dutch in creative. Now Vince coming in. Even with knowing everyone before Vince got there, did you think that TNA needed a new voice in creative to bring a new perspective to the table?
So I don't want to say yes to bury any of the other creative team. I think anytime you can get a new pair of fresh eyes and somebody that's outside your current creative bubble, anytime you can get a new brain in there, especially a brain that you trust and a brain that you're willing to hear out. And look, Vince was an idea guy. He had 100 of them, you know what I mean? And a lot of them were pretty good. So we, we were looking forward to him coming in.
And without having to bury, and I think that's pretty, common in creative in general, that there's going to be a creative burnout, and it's pretty much an impossible task to create 52 weeks of continuous television year after year after year after year and not be burned out and repeat ideas or have a few bad ones.
Ryan, it's so easy. Anybody could do it.
I mean, haven't been in the perspective. It's wild. The changes,
anybody can do it. We'll have at it.
I just always remember, even when I was first breaking in and even before, so reading Jerry Lawler's book and talking about Memphis days, that you still had to have a rotation, that maybe that rotation of booker or creative lasts longer if someone's having a hot streak or a story's going real well. But like,
it was 6 months. I mean, maybe a year or whatever, but they were bringing new people in, and you'd all of a sudden you'd hear, oh, WCW, oh, Eddie Gilbert's booking. You know what I mean? So burnout is pretty fast. Look, we used to go to Michael Hayes and pitch our SmackDown stuff. And why we would do that is because he would shoot holes in everything we pitched. And so it would make us go back and fill those holes that he poked with logic, with creative logic. And so why would he do that? Because of this. Well, where would he go from there? He would go here. And so you can plan that out. It's great to have somebody pick your crap apart, not bury it. And he always did it respectfully. Michael was a huge asset when I was writing SmackDown, to be quite honest. He's a huge asset in the company. Yep. But it was, they could always use a fresh set of eyes. You know what I mean? Because even some of your ideas, like you sleep on and you wake up the next day and you go, man, that ain't going to work. And so, everybody needs fresh eyes as often as possible.
So Russo's in. When does the idea for VKM start to take shape?
He kind of came in, and he may have a different recollection of this, but he kind of came in with the idea, let's do something. Excuse me. He knew that we both were, and look, at the time, personally, I had hard feelings against the company, against WWE. It was all of my own volition, and I never realized that until post WWE career, and sobriety kicking in, that I realized. I looked back and went like, oh God, what was I doing? So bong resin chair shot. This is what you remind me what I was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially Vince coming in and the VKM and the VKM angle come into place, coming to you with the idea.
I think he brought that idea in there. I'm sorry, I started getting real, and when I get real, I get off track. But we were angry. Billy was angry. I was angry. Of course, we were both in active addiction as well. I don't think Billy would mind you telling you that, because we've both been sober for over 11 years now. So we're doing well. But look, we were both not good personally. We were doing what we could do professionally. Vince came in with an idea that we could sink our
teeth into
drug-addled teeth into, you know what I mean? And we were making a payday. We weren't getting rich, but we were getting paid. And I had a dude down there that got me anything I wanted. And it was not a good scene. I still have anxieties about the Orlando airport. So all of this, like I'm saying, all this was tragedy in my life. But professionally, like, hey, me and Billy are back together. Vince Russo, there he is. He was we all started this together. Let's see what we can do. In my head, knowing you can't bottle the lightning again. You know what I mean? You can't do it again, but let's do what we can do and keep our lights on.
So we got the initials VKM. Obviously, we know there's some shots, inherently in what you're doing, but what is the gimmick actually supposed to be?
Well, and that's what, the first time I've ever actually thought about that was today, looking at the notes. And I'm not even kidding, because I don't know, man. I was just out. You know what I mean?
That being you guys.
Yeah, we were just being us, and it was all about taking shots at the, throwing rocks at the people on top of the mountain. And we'll get into that as we speak a little further. But yeah, it was, hey man, I'm getting paid. He's got an idea. Let's do it. It's something we can sink our teeth into.
So it said that your characters had creative control and therefore you guys were able to go into business for yourself. Do
Yeah.
you think that that was almost too inside baseball? I know Vince, Russo liked to blur the lines of work, shoot reality kind of stuff,
Yeah.
but was it almost too much?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was inside baseball, but I also think even the people who are inside the baseball know better than that. You know what I mean? Like they knew people ain't stupid, and I like to suspend my disbelief, but if tomorrow, Braun Breaker goes on or whatever, somebody walks out on a show and goes, I have creative control. Well, that's horse crap. You don't, you know what I mean? So I think they just didn't believe it. I think it was too far. I think it was too far to suspend their disbelief that we have creative control.
What were some of the reasons for your unhappiness towards WWE? Obviously, they released you, but were there specific things that you felt you were unjustly treated, that you were unjustly treated or wrongful? Accused is the wrong word, but like,
Yeah, I know what you're saying. And the truth be told, Ryan, is it would be sexier if I told you, yeah, they did this to me and they did that to me. What they did for me was they provided a great living for my family, and you know what I mean. They always took care of me at every uh, stop, at every problem, around every corner. I was a drama king because I was on drugs, and they took care of me a great deal. And then I became a liability, and so they were like, "Okay, got to let you go." I have no idea what I'm talking about right now, Ryan.
hey,
Bring me back.
no, you're exactly where we need to be because this is what we want to hear. I mean, this was a difficult time in your life, and you're going through changes, and now you're in this storyline where you're going to just start poking the bear, pushing buttons, getting under the skin of people that were your friends, are your associates, former bosses. I mean, through anything, you're in the business. You always hear "don't burn bridges," but like
Yeah.
you guys are throwing gasoline voluntarily at this point.
We're trying to burn that son of a gun down as hard as we can. And look, they did nothing wrong to me. It would be, like I was saying earlier, sexy if they had of that. They didn't do it. This was all of my own doing. You know what I mean? This was me and my addiction and my lack of coping skills. And I didn't know how to live life. I went through life like a hurricane with horns. You know what I mean? So I was destructive and destroying every relationship, both personal and professional, I had at this period of time. Yes, there were some good times of wrestling in between there, but this was a bad time for me.
Were there any other names in mind, or was it always going to be a VKM reference trying to throw the bitch shot?
No, it was going to be VKM for sure. And me and one of my children, I sat in my recliner and one of my children sat on the computer, and I said, look up all the words that start with V. And then I thought like, oh, voodoo's cool. And then I thought, well, Voodoo Kin is like, if he's going to be Kip James, like we're not really kin. So it's like Kabuki, Kins. Okay. Voodoo Kin. Okay. And then the Mafia it just seemed to fit. So we came up with Voodoo Kin Mafia, and Russo liked it. I mean, I came up with that and Russo liked it. And then we got, of course, down the road, we got Roxy Laveau. That was, played off of the Madame Laveau or
Yep.
Laveau or whatever her name is in New Orleans and all that. So, yeah, it was all over the place. And because I really didn't know what we were doing, from a character standpoint, it wasn't something that we could take and evolve. It was either going to end drastically or nothing. You know what I mean? It's probably just going to end drastically. And that's what people like at the end were like, oh, you knew they weren't going to do anything. Well, we tried to get their attention, and we tried hard. You're going to find out as we keep going.
Absolutely we will. As you guys are doing this, what's going on WWE TV is Shawn and Triple H are putting DX back together. Did this piss you and Billy off a little bit? That was kind of your thing?
Well, look, to be honest, yes, it did. But I want to be perfectly clear. It pissed off a couple of guys that were in active addiction. It was a couple of guys that's egos gotten out of control, and we thought we were bigger than the business. And we thought how dare they fire us? And look, it's once you come out of that fog, that is, drug addiction, and you kind of clear your mind and start thinking about your part in all this. Like, what did I do? Man, I did it all. They didn't do anything. I did it all. And Billy's the same way. So we've grown up, you know what I mean? And we realize at the time, those feelings were real. And I would have fought either one of them if they'd have showed up somewhere. I mean, but I fight my brothers too on Thanksgiving. But that's just how we roll. And so I would have fought them at the time. Like now, I think about that and go like, man, what a piece of crap I am. You know what I mean? Like, what a bad person. Like that's
No,
not
but is that fair to say that it's all the addiction? And can't you actually be like have the ego to say, hey, I know that you were wronged, but you could still feel anger, frustration, disappointment, resentment, based on the situation. You were on top of the world. It was
I felt all of those things you just named. I really did. But again, I think they were wasted emotions because they weren't coming from a balanced place. You know what I mean? So look, I do take the blame for a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't take the blame for, but I believe in holding up my end of the deal. I believe in my personal responsibility. I got to do what I got to do, and that's what we were doing here. Me and Billy, they put us together. Now here we go with the Dudleys. We do a little deal. Now we're going to try to get Shawn and Hunter to meet us at the Alamo. Like the whole thing really is just sticks, to different sketch comedy things and having a good time. But also like if they come out here, you know what I mean? Or if I would have fought either one of them. And now I wouldn't fight either one of them to save my life. You know what I mean? Like that's just how I look at them both now. 180-degree difference than how I looked at them both then.
Growth and evolution. You've grown, you're more mature. But as we move forward in the story, it starts to take shape in November. On November 2nd, the James gang comes out and cuts this promo on TNA that's very anti-TNA and anti-Spike. As I watch you give a little groan and
not gonna let the truth celebrate here.
bring the volume down a
The
little bit.
handshake, however, for Ron Killings. They do a long history between these individuals.
Are you giving him a warning like, hey, chill, man?
Listen to your truth.
Right there.
I'll make this history listen.
Who's the other guy? Is that
see,
Lance
2 years
Archer?
ago, we were personally sought out and scouted by a couple of nothing happening scallywags who couldn't get their selves over, so they hired me and Kipper to do the dirty work for them.
Whoa, strong words.
Well, then a little while after that,
87%.
you see, the world saw right through those two, and they saw who the real champions were. And you couldn't fool them anymore, could you, boys? You couldn't fool them anymore. You should have known your limitations. Now then, let's fast forward pre-James gang to a little clique called the 3 Live Crew.
So you're intense right now. For those that can't see, you're intense up.
And a straight up crackerjack. I'll be damned if that wasn't marketable. And guess what? The upper echelon at TNA, you dropped the ball again.
Can we pause for a second?
To hear.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimate intensity. So this is feeling like raw emotion. We talk about, or I usually talk about to talent at promo classes, trying to bring that true heart, true emotion to what you do. If it's real to you, it's going to be real to those watching. And I'm watching this right now, and this is coming from true. It feels like it's coming from the heart.
Yeah. Look, that's what all of this stuff I wanted to be a shoot. And at the time, and I want to continue to preface it with that, at the time, these were my shoot feelings, and I would have fought either one of them at any given minute. And look, they may have whooped my ass. I've had it whooped before. But that's just where we were at this time. Continue, please.
Yeah, let's continue. This is a good one. We'll keep it going. There it goes.
With you dropping the ball. If you can't find me work, by God, I know where to find it.
I was hunting a job when I found this one. That's my favorite line.
6 months Me and my brother have been together. The James gang rode again. And I will be damned if the upper echelon ain't still sitting back there with their thumbs up their asses. Whoa.
When I first started watching this earlier, I was like, wow, your intensity's so much and Billy's so cool. And then Billy's about to amp it up himself.
Because you have seen the last of the James gang. We are done.
What is he saying? Did he just quit?
When did you become so politically correct? When were you so soft? Here, let me put it to you this way, and I'm not gonna candy coat it one little bit. TNA, Spike TV, this is exactly how it goes.
Oh, they cut his mic off. Yeah, I think the truck cut the audio off on Kip James.
James, one in mid-statement.
Came off genuine. Sometimes there's this hesitation that makes people do like the expression of, huh, is it dead?
Kip over here at the table. What? He's grabbing a headset.
Here, I got something to say, and you people are damn sure gonna listen. TNA, Spike Network.
They cut it off again. Oh! Guys, let's get out. Let's get out of here, guys. Let's get out of this. I can't believe this.
Oh, he was going to tell him to suck it, I bet. That's his favorite thing to tell people. He'll like tell a whole crowd of people that. And it's weird, Billy.
So I got my opinions watching it right now, but the opinions from the wrestling press were not very kind to this segment. There was a lot of talk that this was just trying too hard to be a DX ripoff and that you and Billy weren't cool enough on your own to pull that off, not to mention on the level of those, not to mention you guys weren't on the level of the two you were going after. Yeah. Did you pay attention to the sheets or anything going on at that time, or did none of that ever matter to you?
So I don't disagree with them. Like it definitely looks like the little guy throwing rocks up at the big guys on the top of the mountain. You know what I mean? And they never even looked at us. And it was just kind of, okay, well, that's what it was. But look, we took a chance. You know what I mean? Like we tried something. It didn't pan out. It's good or not good. Look, I can tell you, I'm not particularly pleased about all the creative, but there's some good promo work on there. There's some good stuff that came from there. You know what I mean? So you can just be a hater and hate the.
I actually think we're being pretty harsh about it. I actually think it was delivered really strong. I thought the production side of the mic work, it didn't come off artificial. There wasn't, I was saying over it, sometimes there's a hokiness when someone has the mic cut where then they give the expression of,
what?
What? For those that didn't see, I had a very awkward expression on my face. But like, that just seemed natural, like the surprise and shock of, I can't believe they just did that to me.
I think, and so for one thing, I've never read the dirt sheets. I don't hate them. I don't love them. It's just not for me. Like I watch wrestling and I judge for myself. That was good or that was not good. And if you tell me what I said was not good was really good, it's not going to change my mind. So I'm not going to tune in to have him, he, whoever they are, bury the whole thing. We're like, okay, that's cool. But it's also really easy to sit off in the sideline somewhere and tear down. You know what I mean? It's hard to produce. It's very easy to tear down. And so I always look at it that way. Look, it hurt. The dirt sheets and all that social media stuff hurt my feelings a lot during the writing of SmackDown. Very, very personal feelings getting hurt. But back then, no, I didn't read any of that because look, I was a part of the show. And if I had a match, if I had a promo, I know whether it was good or bad. I know if I crapped the bed. I know if I botched something in the match. I know all that. I don't need to go to somebody else to say, oh, by the way, you're not perfect. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, no crap.
So if George Carlin approached you in a Circle K parking lot and invited you into Bill and Ted's phone booth to go back and change course on direction, would you make the change? Or are you someone, and I feel like you're someone who may believe things happen for a reason?
100%, man. It was the exact path I was supposed to be on. Look, I'd love to go back and stop taking drugs at the beginning. You know what I mean? When it was like still fun and still recreational. When it became manual labor, you got to tap out. You know what I mean? So no, I believe I was exactly where I needed to be, doing exactly what I needed to be doing at that point in my life. You know what I mean? There are valleys, there are mountaintops. This was a valley for me personally. But again, creatively and professionally, I think some of it was pretty good work.
Well, let's keep kicking you while you're down in this valley. All right, let's talk about using Shawn and H's real names. Is this a legal thing, a personal shot, just making fun of them, worries on TNA's behalf?
Yeah, and again, I know we were told to use their real names, but I think more than legal issues, I think it was just us trying to make it a shoot. You know what I mean? But to me, that's one of the other things that made it feel worse to me was like, oh, now we're shooting and how are we supposed to, we're on this television show, we quit, but yet we're on the show. So it was, I felt like it was all over the place. You know what I mean? I felt like we didn't have we were just trying to get their attention and it never happened. And so that's that,
Your first match is the Voodoo Kin Mafias at Genesis 2006. VKM takes on the new look of Johnny Devine, Frankie Kazarian, and Matt Bentley. And you guys win pretty much in a squash match, about 3.5 minutes. Fans were chanting DX sucks. Kip used the pedigree on Bentley and started stomping, getting ready for Sweet Chin music. But then he throws Bentley out of the ring, uses the Cobra Clutch slam on Devine for the pin. You then told Vincent Kennedy McMahon, Paul Levesque, and Michael Hickenbottom to tune in on Thursday as you were going to unleash a ground war. We're talking all the negative. We're talking about all the stuff. I feel like in the moment, there was probably more excitement. Like, you were probably, or I should ask, were you amped up for this kind of promo to go out there and start shooting like this?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I really was. It was because, look, if I can cut a promo and make you believe every word that's coming out of my mouth, or if I can make myself believe that, it's a lot easier to make you believe it. You know what I mean? So if I believe the words that are coming out of my mouth, you'll believe the words that are coming out of my mouth. So it's a great place to start, and you don't have to write anything down. These are my feelings. I'm going to go out there and scream them at the top of my lungs. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's cool to be able to be given that creative freedom.
Was it fun for you to cut this promo?
Yeah. It was like, but again, this was a different time and a different Brian. You know what I mean? I've been through several different, the war, and then the superstar, and then the drug addict, and then the executive, and then, you know what I mean? So I feel like I've had 100 lives. This was pre-sobriety. And so all thoughts were twisted, you know what I mean? And first thought was usually wrong.
On the next TV show, you cut a promo about getting a cease and desist order from the WWE. Was that a real legal threat?
Yeah, they told us to stop, I don't know what it said exactly, but I know Vince had said, oh, good, we're getting to them. You know what I mean? Like it was working, like it was, and so we just kept poking the bear. And look, truth be told, we did. You asked if I had fun cutting that promo. I had fun doing a lot of this stuff. Yeah, because it was creatively free and nobody was stifling, and I could, my creativity, I could say, hey, what if we did this and walked around that corner and did that? You know what I mean? Like it was just freelancing a little bit, especially the stuff where we went to Stanford and all that stuff. We'll get into that here soon.
Yeah, I know for me, getting a cease and desist letter back at XPW, we ran an ad about being the greatest wrestling show on earth, and we got the letter from Ringling Brothers, and like we pulled the ad, no problem, but it was like a sense of pride that like, they noticed what we were doing.
Yeah, they saw what we were doing. They're looking at us. And so, yeah, it was, look, they weren't going to sue me. I didn't think. I was going to point to Russo if they came to me. I was going to go, he told me to do it. But that's where we were. That's what we were doing. If it was legal or not, I don't know. I figured if it was illegal, they'd tell us to stop. They did not tell us that.
Before we get into all these vignettes, skits, and live event invasions, let's cease and desist for a moment and take a listen to these words from some of our sponsors.
I get it. It's a wrestling podcast, but he's saving us money on our mortgage. You really trust this process? The reviews don't lie. 5-star review after 5-star review. We make it fast, we make it easy, and it's no cost or obligation. Give us a shot to earn your business. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did, especially if you like keeping more of your own money. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket, so what are you waiting for? Hurry to SaveWithConrad.com.
It's getting hot. It's getting juicy. I gotta wipe off the sweat. All right, dog. You guys shoot some vignettes that you're driving around searching for your target, and your car breaks down right in front of WWE headquarters. We've talked in our first 2 episodes about how guys talk about this and that, but they never have a payoff in mind. What's the payoff going into this angle of going into attack mode on WWE, Hunter?
So, yeah. So what I've been told, and to this day, I don't know it's any different, that they were going to give $1 million if we would have a match with those guys. They were going to pay $1 million to have a match. And look, if you were a millionaire and a multi-millionaire, and somebody told you, hey man, if we do this, we might can get a match with the other company. And man, what if we crossbreed, you know what I mean? We crossbred our products and we did that. And you could sell a millionaire on that pretty easy. I would go like, oh, okay, crap. If you're telling me that might happen, I'm down. And so I think Dixie was down, you know what I mean? There was $1 million on the line, and
It's amazing.
I never really thought we would have it, but I thought, well, if they're willing to give the money, maybe something will happen here. And look, all that may be phony baloney, and it was behind the scenes, and I was just high and don't know the truth. But what they told me was, hey, we're going to give them $1 million if they do this.
Who shot these segments with you? Was
Me
it
and
Borash?
Billy and JB and Russo, Jeremy Borash and Vince Russo.
Were you guys just giving carte blanche on what you can do and they'd air it, or was
Oh,
there
yeah.
an actual game plan? Or
Yeah. Well, look, there was a game plan because we had Vince Russo with us. And but Jeremy Borash is very creative too. So just all of us 4 together coming up with different stupid things to do. And it's totally just slapstick comedy, you know what I mean? But it's fun to do that. And I feel like it's a pretty fun to watch it. But to your earlier point, there's no payoff. So we're just doing it. It's like an exercise in futility. You know what I mean? We're just doing it to put content on the air. I think we all kind of knew, like, we're not going to fight these guys.
giving JB his flowers, as the kids say, man, he has been involved in creating some groundbreaking, monumental, historic
Hardy compound stuff.
Undertaker's
Undertaker, AJ,
Boneyard, yeah. I mean,
all the matches. Remember at the we did those cinematic matches.
Yep.
Like he was the dude behind all that. JB is a genius, man.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to forget Jimmy Jack Funk either. You know what I mean? Jimmy Wong Long is my boy, and I saw him and JB at the live event or the live show that we did with Eric and Jeff and Steve Regal out in Dallas. Yeah.
I got to see him before that too. Great guys, talented individuals, and they always just make phenomenal stuff.
Yeah. Talented dudes.
Did Jeff or did Jared or anyone in TNA come to you and kind of like, is this really what you want to do? Did you get someone to give the other side, or was this just we're all in and going for it?
Yeah, I think everybody was all in because look, it was just one of the little stories on the show that was going. So it was just, like I said earlier, maximize our strengths. What do we do good? We cut promos. Okay, that's pretty good. So because these 2 old guys can have a wrestling match or whatever, but that's what every other segment on the show is. Why don't we have a little? So I think creatively they were probably happy for like something to fill a segment on the show. Like, oh, this is okay. You know, we know Dogg will cut a decent promo or whatever. And so they were just utilizing us that way. We weren't ever wrestling. We were just cutting promos on 2 guys that weren't going to wrestle us. So having that in mind, how do you get out of it without it just kind of petering out? And you go like, oh, okay, never mind.
You get out of it with more entertaining segments like this next one, which sees you and Billy attempting to get Vince McMahon to sign a cease and desist order and to get DX taken off the air. There's always been a saying in business, if you're mentioning your competition, you're hitting up and it makes them seem bigger. You kind of touched on it, but do you agree with that, or do you still feel like we're doing some fun stuff?
No, look, I definitely agree with we were punching up. I got no problem admitting that. I mean, look, everybody who's ever been in competition with the WWF, WWE has been punching up. Like that's just all there is to it. There's no taking that back. So I'm not ashamed of that. like you said, we were doing some fun stuff. We were having a good time, and I was getting paid, and I was higher than a kite.
Let's take a look at a listen at some of these because they are entertaining.
Look, we're out here. You know who I am. We've been standing out here for about 3.5 hours now. The man with the strongest will wins in battle every time. By God, I'm willing to stand here all night long.
Is this when we were asleep? For those of you not watching,
The camera's showing up nighttime, sleeping in front of WWE headquarters, Titan Towers, as Billy wakes up.
I just had a nightmare.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I had a nightmare that dumbed to the extreme of doing something with a fat guy.
Was he naked?
Yes.
Was he putting oil all over himself?
You had the same nightmare I did?
No. Those imbeciles actually shot that segment on their television show. What'd you say? Now you buck up, Private, because you and I are America's last line of defense between that and good television. Now you buck up, you cover up, and you say good night, John Boy.
Night, John Boy.
It was
Dumb
entertaining.
to
Look,
the
even if it was just entertaining to me, it was worth it.
No, watching a lot of this today and prepping for the show, I had seen some of this, not all of it from back then, and we're putting, I keep saying, this negative spin on everything because of the era and time of it was in your life. But
Yeah.
but
You're right.
viewing
And
the
I'm seeing that
content
now
as
too.
it is.
Like it
That
is the
holds up.
the content itself is not bad. I was just in a weird place in my own personal head. So I didn't mean to take it down that path. You're right.
No, so okay, so here we go. You're gonna take it up another notch because you're gonna fire a shot in person, VG. Coming
Ooh,
from
here we
the
go.
Torch. I know you didn't read the sheets, but here, this is what the Torch said. BG James, Kip James, Jeremy Borash, and Vince Russo visited a WWE house show last Friday in Knoxville, Tennessee. As fans were entering the arena, they goofed off, handed out flyers, and interviewed some fans. When one fan said they just bought a ticket and it was third row, BG interviewed him and made issues of the low ticket sales. TNA's website has a story that BG and Kip purchased tickets to the show and brought their cease and desist papers into the arena for Triple H to sign on behalf of DX. During that main event, Triple H waved at BG and Kip, but of course didn't sign the papers. BG encouraged DX to come to Orlando, Florida for a live event where Triple H could sign the papers in person. Said BG on TNA's website, unfortunately, our attempts to serve Levesque were unsuccessful. We also noticed many of the fans' attempts to stay awake during the main event were also unsuccessful. The good news is the fat, oily guy was nowhere to be seen. At least the great fans in this city of Knoxville, Tennessee were spared that suffering tonight. That's funny stuff, man.
I still believe that.
I mean,
that fat oily guy.
you're tough, you're confident, you're on drugs, so you're probably a little bit overconfident. But is this a little bit intimidating and scary to actually put this plan into motion?
So the only thing I was scared of at the time was if we got arrested because I was whole. And so I didn't want to get arrested. So that was the only thing I was scared of. But it was actually really fun. Like we totally bought some tickets and went into that show, and we couldn't film in there because, you know, that is a lawsuit now. And so we did stand in the crowd, and Hunter got up on the second rope and yelled at us. And
We're taking a look at footage of you guys driving in, and now you're with the crowd out front. And there's signs. Did you guys bring those signs, or did the fans actually have
we
them?
probably made them, actually.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah. It was, it was it lowbrow? Were we punching up? Well, all of that is true, but it was a segment on a professional wrestling show. You know what I mean? We're not getting a stinking Emmy or whatever the crap it is.
Did you get any phone calls or heat from any of the WWE guys?
No, none of them. None of them. You know what I mean? It's kind of, look, the business is weird. When you go your separate ways, you kind of go your separate ways. If you cross paths again, cool. But that's everybody else. Like I've talked about, I got 4 or 5 really good friends that we always, keep up with each other. But other than that, people go, and I just kissed a boy on the head like that. Billy, don't kiss this girl.
You're like the Pope.
Yeah, I just cured that little kid. Bless his heart.
At TNA Turning Point, this angle heats up again as you take it up another notch with some impersonations and the VKM $1 million challenge. Let's put this one on in the background as we talk.
911 operator, what's your emergency? Help me very much!
So even the theme song, dog, like it's a home invasion is your theme song.
Hey, we went to a professional place in Orlando there, and they spent thousands of dollars on this on these makeups,
The prosthetic bags,
prosthetic nose, and everything. And like I don't know, dumb to the extreme. That name was dumb to the extreme.
For those that can't see, it's Billy and Dogg doing a DX style a Triple H and Shawn style entrance, and Dogg's got the water bottle and sledgehammer. And that's our first look at the facial expression. Billy.
Yeah, Billy's Shawn.
Billy looks a little like Ron Perlman, like that.
Well, hey, was Ron Perlman Hellboy?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He was great in Sons of Anarchy too.
Yep. And the crowd is super into this.
Look, the crowd was there every week, and so they knew what we were doing. They were there with us. You know what I mean?
So that goes to what I was going to ask. The sheets were crapping over this, but obviously you guys have the crowd into it. Let's listen.
And the millions watching at home via television, boys and girls, let's get ready to stop it!
Now what?
Buddy, nobody makes it up, man.
It's Therapeutic crew coming out.
Leading outfits.
Who is this? This.
I couldn't tell who was actually in the group.
DW?
I got spirit, buddy. And
I don't think I do.
And they go down from your ferocious crotch chops.
Oh, they ducked a Cliz and got a crotch chiz that time. Ducked the Cliz, hit the Chris chiz.
Oh, we're tuning up the band.
Oh, that's exactly what Tanae just said.
Got some sort.
Oh, but Dog stops Billy.
I'm gonna be an idea. Let's get ready.
All right, so I got to give a shout out to Tiny, who's going to come out right here. Ryan Katz.
Oh, yeah.
He's a great guy.
Yes, and a great sport. He was actually better than the guy they used.
Shit like that.
I don't think I'm ready for this journey. I don't think I'm ready for this.
I mean,
that's a good camera shot, right?
But that song is up deep.
You better get YouTube just for this clip alone.
I know.
Taking a look at the segment, Brian, you may want to try BLUECHEW.com for all of your bedroom needs. Use promo code DOG and get free delivery for only $5 shipping. And then
what a super kick. What a super kick.
You have to look at that.
And the victor, and he loves it.
Oh, yeah. Look at it.
Oh, yeah.
You see, sometimes in our business, people have trouble differentiating between parody and reality TV. Well, let us draw the line tonight. What you just saw was parody, and what's next is reality TV.
Okay, we had a little fun. Now we're going to get serious.
Oh, it's like Mission Impossible right here.
Yes.
You see?
It was Professor Whitworth the whole time.
Surprise!
BG James.
And he damn sure ain't Michael Hickenbottom.
You cut this angry promo now with this latex and glue all over your face.
God, we're VK.
By God. I use by God a lot.
By God! By God!
Yeah, that's redneck.
Voodoo
Crowd's in.
Kin Mafia. That's what the initials stand for. Most everything. First, we were having a good time. You see,
Nose with the late.
Oh, yeah.
good humor. But apparently, somewhere along the lines, you had a drastic change of heart, Vinnie Mac. You see, at first, a superior member of administration, as I like to call him, I refer to him as the offensive coordinator. You see, he said that Vince McMahon, you didn't give a damn
don't know.
what old Slick Will and B Chisel were doing down there at TNA.
I do.
But that's when the drastic change of heart came. You see, we caught wind that you wanted us to stop doing what we were doing. Well, that sounds a little familiar, don't it? Because it's the same damn thing we wanted. Now,
That one didn't go over the thick way.
Not a lot of pop lines in here. Just
you can remember back.
Just trying to get
when
my
we
truth
were
out.
employed by you, and you ordered us. You ordered us to drive to CNN Center and try to find billionaire Ted. Maybe you remember that one.
Ooh,
I remember
yeah,
that
I remember
Was it in order, or did you enjoy that moment?
I enjoyed
Do a WCW show on the back of a stinking land of air missile. And I think you bought illegally from the Iranians. We should actually look into that. Basically, by a computer-generated plane and some bullcrap smoke. That is right, WCW sucks. Right over the WCW headquarters. So, oh my God, if you're going to sue us for a parody, I guess this is the one to do it for.
Yeah, truth be known, where am I going with this? Is this the $1 Million Challenge?
It's like on the snow billions when Bobby Axelrod just calls out the attorney general to come after him.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the smartest move. No.
And you, as usual, and all the fun. So this is where we talk about your big brass cojones you all like to about. You see, we're going to lay it all on the table.
Oh,
And we're going to issue right now what I call the $1 Million Challenge.
$1
So hot, we got to catch up on the video.
yeah.
Let me reiterate, Vince McMahon, the $1 Million Challenge.
What's this about?
You see, you got nothing to lose for this one, Benny Mac. So we're going to test how big you are.
Well,
We offer
talk a lot about Vince's
got with
balls.
the bean counters and the upper echelon here at Total Nonstop Action, and they know how we feel personally. And so, by God, unlike you ever did, they're supporting us.
I know we're in some intense stuff, but to mentioning balls, one day we're going to have to get to my favorite Dusty Rhodes ball story.
To the $1 Million Challenge.
Without context, that was delivered perfect.
We're not just to stop, and we won't stop. Every week, you chopping at the very foundation of the dynasty, of the legacy that we were damn sure a major part of.
Whoa,
So we have got a proposition
for you.
legitimate and a proposition that you cannot refuse. You see, it doesn't matter if it's in your house, it don't matter if it's in our house, it don't matter if it's in the hot house. We will put up $1 million.
A hot outhouse. Like we would have a decent match, but it would smell in there.
It would be a rough one.
Boys,
Oh,
anywhere.
oh,
That's the
that is a challenge.
No, hit me with this one. You see, this ain't a damn
This promo takes some stamina.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sick of it already, to be quite honest with you.
no finish. Just men versus pussies.
Oh,
Then by God, you bring that crap. Vince McMahon, let's see how big your balls are. You accept our challenge, or you prove to the world that you're a footless piece of shit.
whoa, Brian. Kiss your mouth.
They've had some fun.
See, this is what Meltzer buried me in the papers about. Like, it's like the thing is the crap, but listen to the people.
Like it wasn't, and it makes me had to hear that. It wasn't a long drawn out
promo, but we got there, and the people were still hanging on. I think. It's just wrestling, man.
I'll take it to the torch instead. After BG James ranked on Sunday's pay-per-view, which included harsh, unscripted language, as soon as he got backstage, he said in effect, quote, "Go ahead, find me. I got carried away." James was given a list of around 8 bullet point items to discuss, but the exact wording wasn't scripted for you. During his speech, everyone backstage was gathered around the monitors to watch and listen. A lot of people in TNA were keeping a close eye on Dixie Carter, seeing how she would react to the situation, as this was her first time getting the full court legal press from WWE. Does she have a stomach for the fight, or will she prefer to just lay off and stick to the family-friendly, non-controversial product she preached about promoting? That was the torch. So walk me through this from your perspective. The promo, the segment, going unscripted, what happens afterwards, repercussions, all of it, dog.
Yeah. So there were no repercussions. I did walk back there and said, "Hey, sorry, but you got a 7-second rule, beep it, find me, whatever." And nothing ever happened. Like there was she was definitely ready for the fight. She was in it for the excitement, and the money was no object. You know what I mean? And it was there was a snowball's chance in hell that they would take us up on it. You know what I mean? Like there was so you're saying there's a chance. And we knew there probably wasn't, but you don't know. And she was, big dog at TNA. And so how can we make you your bigger dog? And this was the way she thought she could do it. And look, like you said, and like I said, I think it was pretty good television. It was just doomed from the get-go because it wasn't going to have a payoff,
The next week on Impact, you and Kip again have a promo. You're not wrestling that much at this time. Are you guys hurt, or is this just a break for your body, or just knowing that it's driven by entertainment and you don't need the matches?
Yeah, the latter. I mean, that's what me and Billy were both older than the average bear that was working at TNA. So to utilize us for promo segments and stuff like that was the smart thing to do from a booking standpoint. We just work every now and then if we had to. But yeah, it was all about total nonstop action. And fat road dog and in shape Billy was only going to be half speed. You know what I mean?
Did you think this angle was bringing in a new fan base, or did you think it was actually going to grab the WWE fan base and bring them to TNA?
Well, we were just trying to expand the fan base, period. You know what I mean? And look, they weren't investing so much in the past as they were investing in the future. So we were just a segment here and a segment there and try to get something done here and try to get something done there. And if they don't buy it, then they don't buy it. You know what I mean? But it was still fun to play, and we didn't have to take too many bumps. You know what I mean?
I think this all plays to the current landscape of wrestling. How hard is it, to bring a new audience or to bring an increase in viewership into a product? We talk about ratings, and it's like, week to week, none of that matters because no one knows what's on the show to know if it's going to be a highly rated show. How do you bring those new viewers in? You guys are trying to push the boundaries. You're trying to be, edgy. It's not necessarily correlating in the numbers.
Yeah. And look, all you can do is, I'm not saying this is the way it is, but all you can do is do your best and continue. And then you kind of lean on your influencers, if you will, and Meltzer and what does Meltzer write? The Observer, and then
Correct.
the other person that writes the Torch. They're doing their thing and they're saying what they will, but from us, we just gotta do our job and keep making money and keep moving forward. If this doesn't work, something else will come. It's phony baloney wrestling. We can do whatever we want to. You know what I mean? We're the masters of our own destiny, and so. Yeah, we were having fun at this point. We were just kind of swimming upstream a little bit. So while we were working and having fun, we weren't really going anywhere,
Was there anything you think TNA could have done better at this time?
I don't think so. I really don't. Look, they were drawing a number, and it was a consistent number about weekly. And so I talked briefly and then veered off topic about the influencers talking one way or another about you. You want people out there saying, "Hey, this is good," but they didn't do any of that with our angle. So I'm not saying that translates to poor ratings, because surely if you're relying on myself and Billy Gunn alone as Voodoo Kin Mafia to draw your ratings, then your strategy is out of whack. But I think we were a decent segment, a decent entertainment segment on the show for a period of time. I mean, whether you like it or not, that's subjective. You know what I mean?
Were you watching the competition at this point? Were you watching WWE at all, or just living in your own world?
Yeah, just living in my own world. And look, that's what I did, to be quite honest, most of the time. Like in early WWE, WWF time, we watched the cruiserweights, like I mentioned before, but kind of just do what you got to do. You know what I mean? It's the same reason they didn't look down at us. Like I'm not looking at anybody else either. I got to do what I got to do. You know what I mean? I got 99 problems, and your creative ain't one.
On the first Impact of 2007, you guys challenged Shawn Michaels to show up at the Alamo to fight the Voodoo Kin Mafia. Let's go to this clip.
Oh my God.
You see, apparently,
In the poncho, in the sombrero.
live event
What's the strap of artillery called?
a complete
strap of artillery.
success. However, it was not a complete.
If you're watching this on YouTube, you can turn it on.
because we got your attention,
We're just-
we hold it back.
We're
Yeah,
just,
we got
All right,
your
we'll bring this
attention.
down.
but the idea here is the idea here is that we make the challenge to go to they're having a house show or something, a live event in San Antonio, and so we're going to go to San Antonio and wait in the Alamo for them to do. We actually went to the Alamo too. I mean, so we had some fun doing this kind of stuff. It just didn't go anywhere, and so you look back on it in retrospect and go like, oh, that wasn't good. And just because it didn't have a payoff, you know what I mean?
So let's talk about these Alamo segments. Supposedly, Jeremy Borash had to cancel going to UFC to see Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz so you guys could get these segments filmed. Did you know about Borash being hot? Was he?
I did not know about it, to tell you.
Total pro. Total
Yeah,
pro.
that's how he rolls. He dropped, but then Tito came to TNA right after this, so he got to spend some time with Tito. But yeah, no, I didn't know anything about that, and I apologize, Jeremy, that you had to miss that iconic match.
What was your mindset at this point? Was it starting to get old, or you think, hey, we're getting to the end point, maybe there's going to be this payoff we're looking for? But
Yeah,
we know-
I mean, look, all I did was every week I walked to the mailbox and went, thank you, God, for the money that now I can pay my house note and buy drugs and live another week. And you know what I mean? Like, it was just that kind of thing. So it was just keep moving forward, Brian. Just keep moving forward, Brian. So it was a tough time.
On January 11th, you go searching for Mr. Hickenbottom at the Alamo, and he's not there.
He was
What's it-
there.
Oh, whose idea? Whose idea for the Alamo? This is all Russo, or you guys are all just brainstorming?
Yeah,
and
no,
shooting?
look, if they're brainstorming behind our backs, but it's Russo. But look, again, I had fun doing it. I had fun going to do these things. You know what I mean? It's like a daggum Jack and Ozzy tour America. You know what I mean? We go to these little places and we have fun there, and we film stuff and tape stuff, and here we go. So yeah, I was having a good time professionally. I'm trying to delineate between my professional stuff and my personal stuff. It's just gets hard because they get twisted, you know?
Once again, talking about hard, and hopefully not twisted.
Now, so what you're saying is this
Shuttle run right now will take us straight to the Alamo.
this will take us right.
It's almost high noon. He's going to show. He's probably already.
Oh, and I bet it was hot in noon.
Look, I had my trucker.
He's done it.
again. Yes, it's Alamo.
Oh my God!
He's from here. Why would I rent a car?
Wow!
Hey, wouldn't the Alamo look a little bit more
Wow!
than this?
Yeah. That's John Denver's full of
What, we come here to dance?
Did
Did you know that this place was erected by the state of Texas in 1936 with funds appropriated by the federal government?
It's actually to commemorate 100.
We're looking for we're at Benny Hill looking for.
On a log flume.
Alamo high and low. We canoed around the thing.
I had my trucker.
There's one thing left for us to do. Then that's declared victory. Of course, we'll see you Sunday.
When you were there in the Alamo, did you get a chance to visit the basement?
Yes, and I found Pee Wee Herman's bike. There's no basement at the Alamo.
All right.
That was one of my favorite movies ever, by the way. And also Big John, the dude that chased him around the big thing, he worked in Continental.
Otis looks totally like
yeah.
totally like him with the fresh shave. All right, so you guys had shot a bunch of these in advance, and then Triple H ends up tearing his quad at New Year's Revolution on January 7th. Does this curtail the whole angle now that Hunter's hurt?
Yeah, well, look, I think this was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was kind of like, okay, how long are we going to keep doing this? And then that happened. So it was almost like, oh, okay. And I still think there's no way out of that that's positive. You know what I mean? There's no way to go like, okay, we declared victory. Like I could say that. I just did back in a promo. But there's nothing now. There's nothing. So here we are, two old jackasses with nobody to dance with.
We're getting close to the completion of this whole story, so let's take one more second to regroup. We'll pull some final fan questions, and we're going to come back after a moment with our sponsors. Dog, before the break, we heard you guys declare victory. And on Impact, the victory was declared over Vince DX, and you cut an anti-WWE promo before Christy Hemme interrupted you and took things in a different direction. But here's the whole thing that makes this whole VKM story really interesting. All the shots, all the controversy, all the insults, all the things. But then you and Billy end up going back to WWE. Let's go back to our phrase from a couple weeks ago. Fut the what, man?
Fut the wuck, indeed. Never say never in the wrestling industry or the, entertainment industry. But yeah, so there we were. And there was a strange conversation between Hunter and I that took place. Vince never said a word and Shawn never said a word. But Hunter and I had a conversation in Baltimore. I remember it because I was very uncomfortable during it. But I told him, like I just told you guys, hey man, I was in active addiction and I needed to pay the bills. And so I would have said that stuff about my mama if they'd have told me to. You know what I mean? I didn't mean none of it. I'm not going to fight you now. So, it was weird, but it kind of needed to take place. I'm glad he brought it up, but he was the only one that ever brought anything like that up. Yeah, we did all that and then went back. And because he's a smart businessman, like people can think what they want to, but he's a smart businessman. You still can make me money or you could help my company make more money. Yeah, I'll take you back. You know what I mean? That's smart.
So knowing you had that cleansing, so to speak, by speaking to H, did you feel a little weird that you didn't get to have that same kind of conversation with Vince or Shawn?
I don't think so. I mean, because truth be told, Vince, I guarantee you Vince never saw a bit of it. Like I know that, you know what I mean? I didn't ask him that. I wasn't about to because he didn't bring it up. So I wasn't going to either, but I guarantee you he never saw one piece of that. You know what I mean? And that's rightfully so. Why would he bother himself with that? You know what I mean? Like I'm not negating world peace or anything. You know what I mean? It was just, they were just talking trash. They were cutting a wrestling promo, whether they meant it or not. It's a wrestling promo and it's here 1 minute, gone the next. It means nothing. You know what I mean?
Yep. It's often credited online in the internet wrestling community that VKM, the Voodoo Kin Mafia, was one of the top 5 worst storylines in TNA history. Do you feel that way?
I don't know. I mean, I look, I agree with you. It wasn't the hottest thing since, the pipe bomb promo or, I mean, I understand what you're saying and what all the critics are saying. But like, really? I could probably go through there and find some that weren't as good a segments as those. Like maybe the program didn't work and it was a waste of time and all of that stuff, but it was still 5 minutes of entertainment on the show, I think.
So
I may be biased and I don't mind saying that I am, but some of the promo work on there was good. And I'm not going to say otherwise because you're not you, Ryan, but because some people didn't think it was any good. Like, okay, that's cool. You have your right to believe whatever you believe. And I don't just totally disagree with him. Like, I don't think it was a very smart deal to plan it all and then it go nowhere and you just have to cut bait. You know what I mean? And so it was kind of like we were going to do that from the get go. So I don't know why you don't just take it for what it's worth and go like, okay, yeah, whatever. It was a wrestling angle. It didn't pan out.
So was
The first.
Was it frustrating to you to do all that work and then have WWE never acknowledge it? So would you have wanted that acknowledgement from WWE that you guys were doing something that was bothering them?
Yeah, of course, because we were doing it to bother them. You know what I mean? So of course we wanted the satisfaction of knowing it was bothering them, and it wasn't. And now I look back and I go, yeah, it shouldn't have. You know what I mean? But at the time, I wanted to scream louder and make them look at me.
Well, let's see what you got to say to the fan questions because they've been curious about a few things. And we're going to start right now with adfreeshows.com's top guy, Zol Lopez, who wants to know, was there any idea how much blowback you'd get from Connecticut with VKM, or was it more of a shoot from the hip kind of thing and whatever happens, happens?
Yeah, it was definitely the latter. We shot from the hip and just let the cookies crumble, you know? And look, Russo was always about doing that. Me and Jeff went with Vince Russo to O.J. Simpson's house in Brentwood right after all that happened. And we ran from out of our car and ran down there and took pictures in front of his house and then ran back. Because they wouldn't let you drive your car in that neighborhood at that time. So we've always kind of runned and gunned, and it was a strong suit of Russo's creatively, and I loved it doing that way too. So yeah, we just did what we did and asked for forgiveness later.
Another member from adfreeshows.com, Top Guy Eros asks, when you cut the promo on Hickenbottom and Levesque, was it things you had stored up ready to say, or did this all come out raw and unfiltered in the moment?
So it definitely all came out raw and unfiltered because I'm not a guy that writes his promos down. I'm a guy that thinks about a few things and make sure I get to those. And look, for that one promo, it was get to the $1 million challenge. I may have taken a right turn at Albuquerque instead of getting there a little quicker. But yeah, it was off the cuff, man. A lot of it. But however, so it's a little bit of both because it was stuff that I stored inside, but then stuff that I could kind of just let go of in my promo. So I didn't have to think about it. It was real to me. You know what I mean? And that's, like I said earlier, if I believe the words that are coming out of my mouth, you will too.
I think we actually got some answers for the other two Twitter questions I had. Chad at CGO Million wanted to know, when you were at WWE headquarters with the idea of calling out DX, did anyone, security, come out, or what would have happened if Triple H and or Shawn had come out to confront y'all? We all want to know what that fight would have been like, man.
Yeah. Well, look, I'd have beat the hell out of everybody. But let's just leave it at that. And look, now I'm an old man and I can't even, get my way. Anyway, so no, nobody ever came out. It would have been very weird if they would have come out. It was friggin' 10 o'clock at night at this office where Shawn and Hunter are not there. You know what I mean? Shawn or Hunter's there now. But back then he wasn't at the office all the time. So yeah, if they would have come out, I don't know. We would have probably tried to joke our way out of it or something. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? Unless they came out mad, then you got to throw. You know what I mean? And I don't want to throw with either one of those two guys. I love those two guys. I've been through a lot with those two guys. I've grown up with those two guys, and they've both kind of been supportive of me since day one. You know what I mean? So I truly love them. Had they come out that night, I don't know what would have happened.
I'm reminded of a moment in history. I was shooting a package, a vignette with Juice Robinson at the time, and we went to SeaWorld to do a parody of Blackfish. And at the end, and we've got some signs, and at the end, security comes up to us, and he just folds on camera. Like he has no conviction for the cause, and immediately he folds the sign and starts getting so apologetic. And I just think it would have been a lot different if something would have happened with you guys.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot more testosterone flowing.
Yes. Yeah, we wanted to fight. He just wanted to see the fish.
All right, man. Dog, we did it. We got through this episode, and I don't
We
think it
did.
was too painful.
I don't think it was either. Look, like I said, it was therapeutic, man. I appreciate you guys kind of walking and talking me through it, and going with me on the journey. We're going to continue to take these journeys and hopefully have a good time while we're doing it. Because if it's not a good time, it's called work, and I refuse to do that. So Ryan, thank you always for steering the ship, and I'll be down below with my sleeping shorts and pizza stains all over them. There's a backstory there we'll probably get into also.
Well, as we wrap it up, let me remind everybody about the Ain't We Great Tour 2022. Road Dogg and Jeff Jarrett and me, and we're heading off to Vegas on Sunday, May 29th at the Nerd, Las Vegas, Nevada, and that's the same weekend as AEW's Double or Nothing. You're going to hear stories you won't hear on the podcast. You'll get VIP swag that you won't believe, and a VIP meet and greet with Double J and the Road Dogg.
Oh, dogs and cats and double J's.
Not to mention the chance to party with us before Double or Nothing. So why don't you head on over to doublejlive.com or roaddogglive.com for more information and tickets. That's roaddogg.com with 2 G's, ROA, double DO, double G.com for tickets.
Amen.
And
That's
I'll
Catsy.
Yeah, and I'll also just throw out, head on over to howtobeaprowrestler.com for my new ebook. You can check out ryanismiley.com to find out my various other appearances, which include my return to commentary May 15th for Boca Raton Championship Wrestling.
Oh, but the Boca Battle, the Battle of Boca.
It's going to be a good one.
The Fighting 35th. Yeah, just check my social media stuff for all my upcoming events and stuff. I got hit in the head way too many times to remember all that. But for real, this is our first live show, Cats and Dogs and Double J's. And so we're going to have a good time at the Nerd out there in Vegas. Again, same day as the AEW pay-per-view, plenty of time to come hang with us and then hit the show that night. That's probably what we'll all do also. So, Ryan, I guess this is goodbye for now.
Yeah, let's
But I
just
love
plug
you.
next week. Oh, man,
I
the
love you.
feeling is mutual. There's a lot of love. We talked about sharing, being open with our feelings.
Sharing
therapeutic
is caring.
sessions. I found that when I opened myself up to saying love, I found that it took me a long time in my life. I'm 45 now, and it was probably into my late 30s that I finally started feeling comfortable with telling people I love them. And
Wow.
I feel my life improved when I started sharing those feelings.
Positive feelings towards others. It's weird. They like it.
All right, Dog, next week we're going to be covering the Outlaws' return to WWE TV in 2013, and we're going to discuss how the Outlaws made it into the ring, your return to TV for the first time as a tag team in WWE in 13 years, your matches against Primo and Epico, and then the Rhodes Scholars before you guys ran into the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar.
Again, that's because Hunter was in a story with him, so they had to beat us up. Bing, bang, boom.
Well, we're going to get to that. So as usual, tune in next week when our new episodes drop on Thursdays, unless you're a member of adfreeshows.com, where you'll get your access early. Don't forget that
Premature.
this episode, don't be premature. And remember that this episode's been brought to you by BLUECHEW and BLUECHEW.com.
Well, that really came together.
Try BLUECHEW free when you use our promo code DOG at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BLUECHEW.com, promo code DOG to receive your first month free.
That's D-O double G.
With that said, I'm Ryan Katz,
And
that
I'm the
man
D-O
right
double G.
there. And this has been
Oh, you didn't know? See you next time.